This is ramen, a staple of Tokyo's food landscape. In this lesson, we're going to explain ramen, what it is, where it came from, and what kinds of ramen you should look out for in Tokyo. In its most basic form, ramen is a noodle soup, but it's a lot more than that. It's also a platform for experimentation and innovation, a format that has been riffed on in infinite ways. Today, there are thousands of ramen shops in this city, each putting out their own take on the format. Ramen didn't come from Japan, and it actually is a newcomer to Japanese cuisine. Note that most Japanese food is based on rice. That's mainly because rice grows well here, and traditional society was based on rice agriculture. Ramen, however, is based on a noodle that is made from wheat flour. Wheat has been present in Japan for centuries, but not in abundance. It was only after World War II, when Japan was facing a huge shortage due to the war, that the newly victorious Americans who were occupying Japan sent food aid, including massive amounts of wheat flour. Add in that Japanese soldiers were coming back to Japan after spending years occupying China, where they adopted some of the culinary traditions including gyoza or dumplings, and chuka soba, meaning wheat noodle in broth, which eventually became known as ramen. Yes, ramen is a Chinese dish adapted by Japan. After World War II, ramen exploded and spread all throughout Japan. And the Japanese do what they often do when new cultural staples come into their country. They began to refine and elevate and innovate. Today, you can find Japanese-inspired ramen in almost any major city. Let's deconstruct a bowl of ramen and see how it's made. Ramen has three main layers that you should understand to best experience it. Like any good soup, the heart and soul lies in the broth. There are four main broths within the ramen family. First, you've got shio. Shio is considered the oldest broth style. Shio just means salt in Japanese. So this broth will be clear and salty without strong notes or complex flavors. Often it will just be a general chicken flavor. So when you see shio, think clear and salty. Next, we've got miso. Miso is made by fermenting soybeans to different degrees and then mashing them into a paste that can be used for a variety of culinary and medicinal purposes. You can spot miso by looking for this. This mesmerizing, cloudy texture is miso. It's delicious. It has a more complex flavor than shio. The fermented elements make it more like a fermented food where the process and duration of fermentation will affect the flavor. Next, we've got tonkotsu. Tonkotsu literally just means pork bone in Japanese, and it looks like this. Tonkotsu looks quite a bit different from our previous two broths. Do you see how milky white these are compared to the darker broths? That's because tonkotsu is made by boiling pork bones for hours, which extracts the marrow and melts the cartilage and fats, emulsifying them into a creamy, milky broth that is incredibly rich. A tonkotsu broth often features a variety of oils that go on top of it to add different flavored elements, like spicy or salty. The final major broth is called shoyu, which means soy sauce. Soy sauce is either added afterwards in the construction of the bowl or added to the stock pot itself as it boils vegetables or chicken bones, and it's simmered to make a broth that is the foundation of shoyu. So the main element doing all the work for the flavor is the soy sauce. Like in this case, where this chef has been boiling a pot of chicken bones and fish carcasses and seaweed to create a very complex broth. And then when he's constructing the bowl, he adds soy sauce to give it a very strong soy sauce flavor. What you end up with is a color not unlike soy sauce itself, clear but still quite dark and brown. Okay, so these are our four major broths. We call the broth the heart and soul because it is the element that takes the most time to develop. And the broth you choose will influence the flavor of the entire bowl. You should definitely try each of the big four while you're in Tokyo. Our second layer is less about flavor and more about texture. It's the ramen noodle. Ramen noodles vary in how thick they are and how wavy they are, how firm or soft they are. They all have one special ingredient that gives them a distinct texture. It's called kansui. It's a white powder compound that gives the noodle a bit of firm bounce when you bite into it. Many ramen shops will have a level of firmness they cook their noodle to, and others will allow you to choose for yourself. Most ramen shops will use fresh noodles, which they will put into these little baskets and cook in boiling water for just a few minutes. They will aggressively shake out the boiling water so as not to dilute the flavor of the broth before adding the noodles to your bowl. The final layer to our anatomy of ramen is the toppings. This is a moment to remember that unlike many staples of Japanese cuisine, ramen is new. It's not bound by any old traditions or aesthetic philosophies. There aren't rules governing what's appropriate to put in your bowl of ramen. So really, anything goes. Common toppings for a bowl of ramen are a slice of chashu pork, which is usually a piece of pork belly or pork shoulder that has been grilled or otherwise seared, and then sometimes simmered for a few hours to cook through. Another common topping is a flavored soft-boiled egg. This egg has been cooked in a flavorful liquid and should come out creamy on the inside. You'll also see a lot of fermented bamboo shoots or mushrooms. Sometimes there's seaweed. Sometimes there's green garnishes like scallions or onions. But like I said, anything goes, and ramen shops all around Tokyo are adding new flavors through toppings to blend with the noodles and the broth. Okay, so now you have this history of ramen and how it exploded in post-World War II Japan, and most importantly, the anatomy of a bowl of ramen. Each of these layers have many variations that can be tweaked. The result is an infinite number of variations of ramen. Like this orange bowl of ramen that has a curry broth and toasted black sesame, or this Italian-inspired pesto ramen that has mozzarella cheese and bacon on top, in a porky tonkotsu broth. May seem weird, but it was incredibly delicious. Some shops choose to keep their toppings simple, like this bowl that has just bamboo shoots and raw onions. So now I guess the most important question is this: how do you find and order good ramen in Tokyo? Table log is going to be a helpful resource here. Search the site for well-reviewed spots. Another useful way to get good ramen spots is just to search the internet. Of all the food in Tokyo, ramen tends to get a lot of attention from online writers and bloggers who are looking to review different restaurants in the city. Another option is to go to the big ramen chains in Tokyo. Places like Ichiran or Ippudo started as small ramen shops that are producing quality ramen at a large scale all around the city. But at the end of the day, just remember that there are over 3,000 ramen shops in this city. So if you find one as you're walking and wandering around, there's a good chance that you'll be happy with whatever shop you stumble into. Once you do find a shop, you will almost always find one of these at the entrance. This is an automated ordering machine, and it's incredibly helpful for those of us who don't speak Japanese. Here's what you do. First, you put in your money. Make sure to have cash on hand, as most of these machines don't accept a credit card. You'll want to put in around 1,000 yen, or $10 US, which is a common cost of a bowl of ramen. Next, you choose the type of ramen, which you can do in the upper half of these buttons. As a general rule, the ramen shop's signature bowl will be here in the upper left. This will almost always be a solid choice, so if you're confused at what to get, choose the upper left. As you go left to right, you'll see variations, sometimes different broths or different toppings. Oftentimes this will be accompanied with pictures so you can get an idea of what you're getting. So this top half is usually dedicated to picking the type of ramen you want. Next, look at the bottom half of this machine. This is the part where you order extra toppings, sides, and drinks. So you could order an extra egg, or a drink, or extra noodles if you're feeling really hungry. Every time you click one of these buttons, a little ticket prints out and is dispensed down here. Make sure to collect all these tickets when you're done ordering and give them to the person inside the shop. They will take it to the chef who will start making your ramen. Before you know it, your bowl of hot ramen will arrive to your table. We suggest first tasting the broth before you dive into the noodles and the topping. The broth is the heart and soul of this bowl of ramen, and tasting it by itself is a great way to really get a sense of the foundation of this bowl before you dive in. As you eat, it's important that you slurp your noodles. This is rude in some places, but in Japan, slurping noodles is customary, and it indicates that you are enjoying the meal. We hope you have a better grasp on the context surrounding ramen and how to get in on the ramen food scene in Tokyo.